When people ask me, Jack, what is the most important skill to learn before it's too late? They expect me to say something glamorous: technology, leadership, business strategy, negotiation. But I always start with something much simpler, something most people ignore their entire lives: self-awareness. Without it, every achievement becomes accidental and every failure becomes repeated. I have met thousands of talented people who worked very hard, but they were climbing the wrong mountain. They didn't understand themselves, so they spent their lives chasing someone else's dream. When I was young, I tried to copy everyone around me. I thought success meant behaving like the people society praised. I tried to speak like them, think like them, even dress like them. But every time I imitated others, I moved further away from the person I was supposed to become. One thing I learned early is this: the biggest danger is not failure. The biggest danger is living without direction. A man who does not know himself will never know what to choose, and life will choose for him. I still remember the day I realized this. I was rejected from job after job, opportunity after opportunity. Some people said I wasn't smart enough. Others said I wasn't talented enough. One hiring manager told me, Jack, you are not suitable for anything. That moment hurt, but it forced me to ask a question I had never asked before. Who am I really? What can I offer the world that nobody else can? That question changed the entire direction of my life. Most people never ask it. They let society assign them a role, and they spend 40 years playing a character they never auditioned for. Self-awareness is not about being perfect, it's about being honest. The world only remembers doers, not talkers. And the doers are the ones who know exactly what they are aiming for. Winners study themselves before they study the world. They know their strengths, they know their weaknesses, and they build a life that fits them instead of squeezing themselves into a life that doesn't. I always tell young people, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment, but self-awareness is the blueprint that tells you which bridge to build. Without it, you work hard in the wrong direction. You hustle, but never progress. You achieve things that don't fulfill you. And one day, you wake up realizing you have been running fast, but not running toward yourself. People think the biggest obstacle to success is competition. No. The biggest obstacle is confusion. When you don't know yourself, every decision becomes heavy. Every failure becomes personal, and every rejection feels like the end. But when you understand who you are, rejection becomes information. Failure becomes a teacher. And obstacles become signals, guiding you toward the path meant for you. Life does not wait for you to figure yourself out. Opportunities come and go quickly. Preparation meets opportunity only when you know what you're preparing for. That is why I say self-awareness is the first skill you must learn, because without it, every other skill becomes ineffective. You can be hardworking, disciplined, talented, but if you are building the wrong life, you will still end up with regret. So before you chase money, before you chase success, before you chase status, stop and study yourself. Ask the difficult questions. Understand your gifts. Understand your flaws. Understand what kind of life truly matters to you. Because once you know yourself, the world will know how to treat you. Once you understand your direction, every step, even the small ones, will pull you forward. And once you build a life that fits who you are, you will finally have something that most people never experience. Clarity. Dad, people always ask me, Jack, what separates those who rise from those who stay stuck? They think the answer is intelligence, education, or talent. But let me tell you a truth most people don't want to hear. The world belongs to them. People who can stay calm when everyone else is losing their minds. Emotional control is not just a skill, it is power. Real power. And without it, every plan, every dream, every opportunity you have will collapse the moment life gets difficult. I learned this very early. When I was rejected from my first jobs, I reacted emotionally. I felt angry, embarrassed, frustrated. I blamed the world. I blamed the system. I even blamed luck. But every time I reacted like that, I lost control of my future. One day, after another rejection, I sat alone and realized something painful. The world was not my enemy, my emotions were. If your emotions lead you, your life will mislead you. That day, I made myself a promise. I said, Jack, if you cannot control your emotions, you cannot control anything. People ruin opportunities not because they are unqualified, but because they cannot stay steady. They panic when obstacles appear. They quit when things get uncomfortable. They explode in anger when someone criticizes them. They take everything personally. But the truth is simple. Life rewards those who respond, not those who react. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment, but emotional. Discipline is the foundation that holds the bridge together. Without it, the whole structure collapses, and most people collapse with it. I have seen brilliant people destroy their careers because of one emotional outburst. I have seen talented people give up because of temporary discomfort. I have seen dreamers stop dreaming just because someone doubted them. Do you know what all these people had in common? They let their emotions speak louder than their purpose. And purpose cannot survive inside a mind that is always on fire. When Alibaba was still small, we faced crisis after crisis. Investors walked away. Competitors attacked us. The media mocked us. Employees lost confidence. And every day, people told me, Jack, maybe this is a sign to stop. If I had reacted emotionally, I would have agreed with them. I would have quit at the first sign of fear. But I learned something. Storms don't destroy people, panic does. During chaos, the calmest mind becomes the strongest. The world only remembers doers, not talkers, and doers learn to quiet the noise inside themselves long before they quiet the noise outside. Emotional control does not mean you feel nothing. It means you don't let your feelings control your choices. It means you breathe when others break. You think when others scream. You continue when others quit. Winners understand that emotional discipline is not natural, is trained. It is sharpened through struggle. And every time you choose patience over panic, focus over frustration, clarity over chaos, you become harder to break. The people who succeed long term are not the ones who avoid pressure. They are the ones who can stand inside pressure and still make the right decision. The world respects a steady hand. Opportunity trusts a steady mind. And the future favors those who don't let temporary storms blind them to long-term skies. So before you chase success, learn to control yourself. Before you demand results, master your reaction. Because a person who cannot control their emotions is a person the world can easily control. And when you master your emotions, you master your destiny. When people see success, they think it happens quickly. They think someone got lucky, or someone had a special opportunity, or someone else opened a door for them. But the truth is far more uncomfortable. Most people fail not because they lack talent, but because they cannot see far enough into their own future. They live day to day, chasing small pleasures, avoiding discomfort, and expecting life to somehow reward them later. But life never rewards short-term thinking. Rewards the people who are willing to sacrifice now for a tomorrow most others can't even imagine. When I was young, I had nothing. No money, no connections, no privilege, no special talent. But I had one advantage: I could think long term. I understood that the choices I made at 20 would determine the life I lived at 40. I saw my friends chasing quick money, quick comfort, quick results. They wanted success by Friday, but they weren't willing to suffer through Monday. I decided to do the opposite. I decided to think in decades, not days. And that one mindset changed everything for me. Most people underestimate what consistent effort looks like over 10 years and overestimate what motivation can do in 1 week. They want to feel good immediately. They want applause before effort, results before discipline, and rewards before sacrifice. But success doesn't come to the most talented, it comes to the most patient. It comes to the ones who understand that every small, boring decision today becomes a powerful outcome tomorrow. Discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want now. And long-term thinkers live by this rule every single day. When we started Alibaba, every short-term thinker told me it was impossible. They said China would never trust the internet. They said I didn't understand business. They said no one needed what we were building. And honestly, if I had looked only at the present, they were right. In the short term, everything looked broken. We had no money. We had no stability. We faced losses every month. But I wasn't thinking about the present. I was thinking about the future. I wasn't building a business for the next week. I was building a company for the next generation. And that is why we survived when thousands of others failed. Short-term thinkers quit when they don't see results immediately. Long-term thinkers understand that the seed you plant today needs time to grow. You cannot dig it up every morning to check if it has sprouted. You water it, you protect it, you believe in it, even when there is nothing visible to believe in. That is the mindset that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Anyone can start fast, but only the disciplined finish strong. Long-term thinking also forces you to choose your battles wisely. You stop reacting to every small distraction. You stop chasing every new trend. You stop comparing yourself to people who are only focused on today. Long-term thinkers don't get jealous because they understand something powerful. Short-term success often disappears just as quickly as it arrived. But long-term success becomes unshakable. It becomes a foundation for everything else in your life. The future belongs to the people who prepare for it, not the people who wait for it. If you want a life that others admire, you must be willing to live a life today that others avoid. Your habits, your focus, your discipline, these are investments. Every small improvement compounds into something massive. And the world only remembers those who stayed consistent long enough to see their vision come alive. So ask yourself, are you thinking like someone who wants to win now, or someone who wants to win forever? Because once you learn to think long term, you stop being controlled by the fears and temptations of the moment. You start building a life that cannot be shaken by the storms around you. And that is when success finally begins to trust you. When people look at success, they always imagine the applause, the achievements, the recognition. They never imagine the part that built it, the rejection. The truth is simple but painful. Before anyone respects you, the world will try to break you. Before anyone believes in you, you must survive all the moments that tell you to quit. Rejection is not a punishment, it is a test. And most people fail, not because the rejection was too strong, but because their belief was too weak. When I was young, rejection was the only thing I knew. I applied to 30 different jobs, every single one rejected me. KFC came to my city and hired 23 people. I was the only one they said no to. Even the police academy rejected me. Sometimes I felt like the world had already decided I wasn't needed. But rejection did something powerful. It forced me to understand myself. It pushed me to ask, if the world says no, will you still say yes to yourself? Most people take rejection personally. They think it means they are not good enough. They think it means fate has closed the door forever. They let one no destroy a lifetime of potential. But rejection is not a verdict, it is a filter. It removes the people who want comfort and leaves only the ones who want growth. If you cannot handle rejection, you cannot handle success. Because success is built on the foundation of every no you refuse to accept. You must understand rejection is information. It reveals where you need to improve. It shows you who doesn't deserve to be on your journey. It teaches you resilience, humility, and patience, skills far more valuable than talent. Every time someone rejects you, life is asking you a simple question. How badly do you want this? The people who succeed are not the ones who get the least rejection. They are the ones who refuse to stop after getting it. When I built Alibaba, rejection followed me everywhere. Investors said the idea was stupid. Banks refused to lend us money. Professionals laughed at us because we didn't look like a real company. For years, nobody believed in us. But the rejections made us better. Every no forced us to refine our mission. Every closed door pushed us to build our own door. Every insult made us more committed. Eventually, the same people who rejected us tried to invest, but by then, it was too late. Rejection also strengthens your identity. Most people tie their value to other people's approval, so when the approval disappears, their confidence disappears too. But winners understand something important. Confidence is built internally, not handed out externally. The world does not owe you validation. If you want to rise, you must be able to stand alone when no one claps for you. Success requires a backbone, not a handshake. If you study the lives of every great achiever, you will notice a pattern. They were rejected more times than anyone else. Not because they were weak, but because they kept trying. Every rejection sharpened their skill. Every failure expanded their perspective. Every disappointment increased their strength. They didn't become successful despite rejection. They became successful because of it. Rejection is not a wall. It is a doorway. It stops the people who were never committed and clears space for those who are. It forces you to grow into the person who is capable of receiving what you asked for. And if you learn to handle it well, rejection becomes your greatest advantage. Because while everyone else collapses at the first no, you will be the one still standing, still improving, still moving. So remember, the world will test you before it trusts you. The no you hear today might be the very thing that prepares you for the yes that changes your life. Don't fear rejection, use it. Don't avoid it, learn from it. Don't take it personally, take it as fuel. Because the moment you master the skill of handling rejection, you unlock doors that most people will never even dare to knock on. When people talk about success, they always imagine it as a solo journey, your talent, your effort, your discipline. But life is never that simple. You can work hard, you can dream big, you can push yourself every day and still end up stuck. All because you chose the wrong people to walk with you. The truth is harsh, but unavoidable. Your environment is either your greatest advantage or your silent enemy. The people you allow into your life determine the speed, direction, and quality of your future long before you notice it happening. When I was young, I didn't understand this. I thought I could succeed no matter who surrounded me. I believed that effort alone was enough. But every time I looked around, I saw the same pattern. Talented people wasting their potential because their friends were comfortable being average. Dreamers losing confidence because their circle was full of doubt and fear. Smart people becoming small because everyone around them was small-minded. I realized something important. The wrong environment doesn't just slow you down. It quietly changes who you are. People often ask me what the most dangerous thing in life is. They expect me to say failure or rejection. But I always say this, the most dangerous thing in life is spending too much time with people who don't believe in anything. These are the people who complain but never change, who criticize but never try, who judge but never build. Their mindset becomes your mindset. Their limits become your limits. Most people don't sabotage their own success. They let their environment do it for them. When I tried to start Alibaba, almost everyone around me said I was crazy. Some told me politely, others laughed openly. I remember a friend saying, "Jack, you should stop dreaming. You're not talented enough, not smart enough, not connected enough." If I had listened to those voices, Alibaba would not exist today. But I learned a powerful lesson. If you listen to people who fear life, you will live a life built on fear. If you listen to people who have given up, you will become someone who gives up too. You must choose the people who surround you with extreme care. Winners choose friends who challenge them, not comfort them. They choose mentors who tell them the truth, not what they want to hear. They choose partners who push them forward, not hold them back. Average people surround themselves with excuses. Successful people surround themselves with standards. This isn't about being rude or superior. It's about protecting your future. One thing I've learned is that people either multiply your energy or drain it. They either water your dreams or poison them. They either expand your vision or shrink it. The world will always have complainers, critics, and pessimists. But you don't have to invite them into your life. You don't owe your time to people who won't grow with you. You don't owe your loyalty to people who won't support you. You only owe your future to the people who help you build it. And here is the truth nobody wants to hear. Before it's too late, you must learn the skill of letting go. Letting go of people who don't grow. Letting go of circles that no longer fit your goals. Letting go of relationships that drain your strength. This is not betrayal, it is evolution. Success requires sacrifice. And the first sacrifice is usually the wrong company. If you want to rise higher, you must surround yourself with people who make higher feel normal. If you want to think bigger, sit with people who talk about ideas, not gossip. If you want to become strong, spend time with people who refuse to quit. Your environment shapes your courage, your thinking, and your limits. And once you choose the right people, you no longer walk toward your future, you are pulled toward. People love to talk about motivation, as if it's the magic key that opens every door. They wait for motivation, they search for motivation, they hope for motivation. But motivation is like the weather, it changes every day, and it cannot be trusted. One morning you feel unstoppable, and the next morning you can't even get out of bed. If your future depends on something as temporary as motivation, then your future will always be unstable. I learned very early that success doesn't belong to the most talented or the most inspired. It belongs to the most consistent. When I started Alibaba, motivation didn't build that company. Motivation didn't pay the bills. Motivation didn't convince investors who laughed at us. Motivation didn't push us through the nights when we had nothing left except fear and a vision. What built Alibaba, what saved it again and again, was consistency. The boring, unglamorous discipline of showing up every single day, even when every part of me felt like disappearing. I always tell people, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Because motivation disappears, but discipline does not. Most people don't fail because they're weak. They fail because they think they need to feel strong before they act. They think they need to feel confident before they take a risk. They think they need to feel inspired before they start working. But winners understand something different. You act first, and the feelings come later. Consistency creates confidence. Consistency creates progress. Consistency creates the person you want to become. And this is why it is a skill. One of the 7 skills you must learn before it's too late. There were so many nights when we thought Alibaba would collapse. Investors said no. Customers didn't trust us. The media laughed at us. Many of my team members wanted to quit. I don't blame them. Sometimes I wanted to quit too. But quitting is a habit. And once you learn it, it becomes your default response to difficulty. I refused to let quitting become identity. So even on the worst days, we still met, still worked, still pushed forward. Not because we felt good, but because we were committed. That consistency became our competitive advantage. While others stopped, we continued. While others paused, we took one more step. And that one step repeated 1,000 times became the foundation of our success. It's easy to be motivated for 1 week. Anyone can be excited for a few days. But the world remembers the people who keep going long after the excitement is gone. I've seen incredibly talented people lose everything because they relied on inspiration instead of action. I've seen average people rise to unbelievable heights simply because they refuse to stop. This is why I always say the world only remembers doers, not talkers. Talkers love motivation. Doers rely on consistency. Consistency is not about speed. It's not about perfection. It's about commitment. It's about showing up again and again until the world can't ignore you anymore. And here is the part many people misunderstand. Consistency is not natural. It is a trained skill, a daily choice, a muscle you strengthen through repetition. And once you master it, you no longer fear failure because you know you will always come back stronger. You no longer fear competition because most people quit after the first obstacle. You no longer fear setbacks because consistency turns every setback into another stepping stone. The truth is simple. Motivation changes your mood, but consistency changes your life. And before it's too late, you must learn the skill of doing the work even when you don't feel like it. That is the difference between a dream and a destiny, between a wish and an achievement, between the life you want and the life most people settle for. Many people call this a cliche, but sometimes cliches exist for a reason. They hold truth that most of us refuse to face. Thomas Edison is famous for failing thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. But let me tell you something that most people miss. Edison didn't fail. He discovered what didn't work, and each discovery brought him closer to success. When I look back at my own life, I see the same pattern. I was rejected from jobs, laughed at by investors, and told my ideas were impossible, but each no was a lesson disguised as a setback. Most people stop trying because they fear looking foolish, because they confuse embarrassment with defeat. Winners, however, treat repetition and experimentation as a skill. I remember standing in my tiny apartment, thinking about Alibaba, wondering if the world would ever accept it. Investors said no, partners walked away, and yet each time I went back to the drawing board. I refined. I tried again. I learned. That is the Edison lesson. Skill is not born from one brilliant moment. It is forged through repeated action, repeated failure, and relentless courage. World doesn't remember those who quit early. It remembers the people who tried one more time, one more iteration, one more experiment. Here's the hard truth. Most people fear repetition because it feels like stagnation. But in reality, each attempt is an investment in your skill, in your resilience, in your future. Every failure adds a layer of knowledge that no classroom or book can give you. The courage to try again, to risk being wrong, to keep experimenting even when nobody applauds, that is a skill few ever develop. This skill separates spectators from legends, dreamers from doers. It is not luck, not magic, not timing. It is the deliberate, practiced, repeated act of showing up, analyzing, correcting, and trying once more. So when you feel rejected, embarrassed, or laughed at, remember the Edison lesson. Treat every failed attempt as a step forward, as a brush stroke in the masterpiece of your skill. Most people will quit before the breakthrough. Winners persist until the skill becomes undeniable, until results follow naturally. And that, my friends, is why repetition and resilience are not just habits. They are skills that will change your life before it's too late. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment, and courage is the fuel that keeps you on that bridge when the world doubts you. If you do not truly believe you deserve better, you will accept anything the world offers, and often that is far less than your potential. I have watched so many talented people destroy themselves, chasing validation from bosses, investors, or peers instead of building confidence from within. They measure their worth by applause, likes, or recognition, and when it doesn't come, they shrink. But self-worth is not arrogance. It is internal compass that guides every decision you make. Without it, every setback feels personal. Every criticism becomes a cage. And every rejection feels like the end of the world. I remember in my early days, I was turned down repeatedly for jobs, laughed at for my ambitions, and told my ideas were impossible. At first, I took it personally. It hurt. I doubted myself. But then I realized the world's approval is temporary, unpredictable, and irrelevant. The only thing that matters is whether I value myself enough to keep going. Self-worth is like armor. It protects you from the blows of rejection and criticism, allowing you to act decisively even when everyone else says no. The skill of self-worth teaches you to set your own standards, to trust your judgment, and to act boldly without waiting for permission. When you operate from self-worth, rejection stops being a threat, it becomes a guide, showing you where to refine your approach and who truly matters in your circle. Ordinary people look for approval. Extraordinary people create their own value and live by it. This skill allows you to pursue opportunities, take risks, and make decisions without being shackled by fear of judgment. Remember, the world is full of people who will try to make you doubt yourself, to pull you back into the comfort of mediocrity. But self-worth gives you the strength to ignore the noise, to continue experimenting, to persist where others quit. It is a skill because it must be practiced, reinforced, and defended every day. Once you master it, you become unstoppable. Rejection loses its sting, setbacks become lessons, and every step you take builds momentum toward the life you are truly capable of living. That the world never stops moving, and neither should you. If you resist change, if you cling to old methods or outdated thinking, you will be left behind. I have survived not because I was always right, but because I learned to adapt faster than most. Every time the market shifted, every time technology advanced, I had to reinvent myself, my company, and my approach. Adaptability is not optional. It is the skill that determines whether you thrive or vanish. People who refuse to change are like stones in a river. They are worn down, broken, and forgotten. Those who flow with the current, who learn, unlearn, and relearn, become unstoppable forces. I remember the early days of Alibaba, when few people in China even understood the internet. Everyone laughed at the idea of an online marketplace. Investors said it was impossible. Competitors ignored us. But the reality was simple. The world was changing, and I had to change faster. I had to learn new technologies, understand new behaviors, and convince people to see value where they could not. Adaptability meant embracing discomfort, stepping into uncertainty, and being willing to discard what didn't work. Every mistake taught me what to change, and every iteration made me stronger. Most people resist adaptability because it feels like weakness. They fear losing control, fear looking foolish, fear uncertainty. But the truth is, rigid thinking is far more dangerous. The world doesn't wait for you to catch up, it leaves you behind. The skill of adaptability teaches you to pivot, to observe trends, to read the signals before others notice them. It's not just survival, it's the difference between stagnation and exponential growth. Leaders are not those who always know the answers. They are those who learn faster, adjust smarter, and act decisively when everything else shifts. Adaptability also connects deeply to every other skill I have mentioned. Self-awareness helps you see what must change. Emotional control keeps you steady through uncertainty. Self-worth gives you confidence to embrace new paths. Together, these skills allow you to not just survive change, but to harness it. When you master adaptability, you turn chaos into opportunity, rejection into redirection, and risk into advantage. Ordinary people break under pressure. Extraordinary people rise by bending, shifting, and learning faster than the world moves. Life will never pause for you. Opportunities do not wait until you feel ready, until you have enough experience, or until the timing seems perfect. I have seen countless people wake up too late, realizing only when doors close that they should have acted sooner, learned faster, or taken more risks. The painful truth is that too late comes for everyone who hesitates. The skill you must master is recognizing the moment before it passes and deciding to act decisively without hesitation. It is not talent that determines success. It is preparation and timing combined with courage. I remember watching businesses and ideas rise and fall around me, not because the people behind them lacked intelligence or vision, but because they hesitated. They waited for approval, waited for confidence, waited for clarity. Meanwhile, the world moved forward, and someone else took the opportunity. I knew that if I wanted to avoid that trap, I had to develop the 7 skills. We have discussed the skill of self-awareness to know what matters, emotional control to stay calm in chaos, long-term thinking to see past the present, handling rejection to keep moving when doors close, choosing the right people to fuel, growth, consistency to show up when motivation fades, and adaptability to adjust when conditions shift. These skills act like a compass, guiding you to act before it's too late. Mastering the too late moment is about creating urgency inside yourself, even when the external world seems quiet. It is about respecting time as the most precious resource, because it cannot be regained. Each skill you learn compounds this ability. Self-worth prevents you from being held back by fear of judgment. Adaptability ensures you can pivot when the situation changes. And consistency ensures that when an opportunity arises, you are ready to seize it. The combination makes you unstoppable, and it turns hesitation into action. The final lesson is simple but relentless. The door will not wait for your preparation. It only opens for those who have prepared themselves and then act. Most people only realize the value of these skills after it is too late, and by then, regret has taken the place of opportunity. The victories in life belong to those who anticipate, who learn, who persist, and who act with confidence before the clock runs out. Master these skills now, and you will stand ready for any opportunity. Transform potential into achievement before the world even knows you are there. Success waits for no one, but with these skills, you can be the one who moves first.